What's up everyone, Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have yet another album review for you. So the 14th of January was actually pretty busy. It was a pretty solid second week in terms of releases coming out. And what I want to check out, because yet again it will be a first exposure to another new band this year, which has already happened quite a bit, was the newest offering from Wiegedood? Wiegedood? I'm not entirely sure how to say that word, but I wanted to go over their new album, There's Always Blood at the End of the Road. This again also comes out on the 14th of January on Century Media Records. This band formed in Belgium in 2014, and they are part of the Church of Ra collective, including such bands as Amen Ra, Oathbreaker, Hessian, and some other ones that I don't know yet. But this collective puts forth a lot of interesting music. Now, this is their fourth album overall. This is, again, the first time I have jammed them. I know that people have brought them up before in comments, and I've heard buzz about them, so this was my first experience with them. And well, going into it, like, the first thing I thought that was kind of, well, really dark. I mean, this is black metal, so it is going to get dark. The name actually translates to death in the cradle in Dutch, I believe. And it's literally the term they use for sudden infant death syndrome, which is extraordinarily dark. But that kind of fits with this band because this is some twisted, dark black metal. And atmosphere, again, is a huge part of it. That's kind of a huge part in black metal in general, but this album doesn't necessarily feel evil. That's kind of like the general feel for a lot of black metal, at least in my experience. This feels more insane. I would even say this album has manic fits left and right. The opening track, FN Scar 16, just takes off, and honestly, there's essentially just kind of one melody that is all throughout this track. And they actually do that more on later tracks like Now Will Always Be and Carousel. But I thought it was interesting that it stays the course, a steady blast beat, this very interesting dissonant tag on the end of these wild tremolo riffs. And my God, the production on here is flat out caustic. It is so raw. The guitars are just scathing on here, and the drums absolutely pummeling. A steady blast beat pretty much throughout this. And then when you get down to the vocals, they are at times absolutely horrifying. There's an opening gasp on here, like a raw just before a gigantic shriek just kind of covers the dissonant blast beat riddled fucking music that comes out afterwards. And vocals on here really contribute heavily to the atmosphere. The vocals are at times frightening and at times kind of enchanting. Again, the two tracks that I brought up before, Carousel and Now Will Always Be, really employ a lot of interesting throat singing, the kind of droning chants, and it really just adds a lot. It kind of makes it like kind of trance-inducing. But sometimes it's when the vocals are in the background kind of just doing something twisted to complement the otherwise twisted music. Especially on the track, I have to read this, Noblesse oblige, richesse oblige. There is a section on there where it kind of goes into this dreary breakdown, and behind that you just hear like desperate pleading. Like it sounds like someone begging for their life in whatever language they're speaking on there. It doesn't even really come across as like actual words, but I think there are words there, but it is desperate, and it makes that moment that much more dark and twisted. But in terms of dark and twisted, it does not get any more fucking crazy than the song New Ages. I don't even know how to say that word, but I know not only is the video just fucking weird, involving a gentleman tied up in a chair and another guy across him laughing insanely and, I don't know, like drooling a little bit. It's kind of just weird to watch. But the music itself is easily the most twisted song on the album, and all these songs are kind of dark and twisted in their own way, but this one is right out front about how crazy it is. The opening flurry of just insane dissonant tremolo riffs, it almost kind of sounds like that, you know, fade in warm up on Hit the Lights on Kill 'Em All, except with more Satan, and possibly more of a distaste for anything remotely melodic at all. And what's interesting about this little opening flurry too is there's like little breaths in between there where it just stops, just kind of a moment for you to collect your insanity before they hit you over the fucking head with a sledgehammer again and just start laughing at you insanely. Kind of fits with the video, actually. But after that, it goes into dissonant tremolo riffs, these weird descending notes, and there's a lot of, like, strange ascending and descending, you know, riffs, chords, note patterns. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's very confusing, but the overall effect is it sounds just absolutely insane. And when you get towards the end of the song, you have this strange syncopated sort of chug kind of breakdown, but behind that, I think the vocalist is having an asthma attack in the studio, and no one's helping him. Like, he is running around the studio fucking freaking out. That's probably not what happened. But that desperate energy just kind of comes through in there, and it makes this song just, I don't know, uncomfortable. Like, the whole feeling on that song is just sort of like, man, my skin itches for no real reason. I think it's this song. Now, I think when they are at their most subdued, calmed, that's not the right word because it's still really heavy. It's kind of a more second wave black metal approach, especially on Until It Is Not and Theft and Begging. Until It Is Not actually has like sort of a steady groove that rolls through. It's very anthemic and cold, and it just has all those riffs that you would expect from bands like Satyricon, Early Immortal, and honestly this has some straight up very catchy melodies. There's really cool guitar interplay throughout this song, and actually, I mean, throughout the album, but a lot of the time they're trying to create this very strange, caustic, feral fucking, you know, feel to it. So the notes can be maybe a little avant-garde-ish. This one, straight ahead, there's a flat-out hook right away, and it's just a solid song. And then Theft and Begging goes full tilt Marduk in terms of speed and aggression. Now, not that this album kind of lacks in speed, because it's fast. Like, there's a lot of blast beats, there's a lot of tremolo riffing, but this song kind of hones in on specifically like sort of a Marduk style. Like, it is just hyper aggressive, and again, it has that sort of classic Norwegian black metal sound to it. Oh yeah, and I think I screwed up. It's the song "And in Old Salamano's Room, the Dog Whimpered Softly." These song titles can be kind of long and strange, so yeah, that's the whole desperate pleading with whoever's trying to murder the fuck out of you. It was probably the dog, because the dog sounds like it was fucking rabid. There was nothing soft and whimpering in that song at all. The biggest standout for me on this album is the song "Now Will Always Be." It is the longest track, and again, with a repeated melody that is repeated a lot. Like, they just hold on to it for almost the entire song. This has such a cool little distinct melody on it. It's a flutter at the end of the riff, and I don't know, like, it kind of reminds me of sort of the same style that you would hear in Tool's Schism. Like, it has that burning, like, but it's dissonant, it's very cold and very ugly, and it is carried throughout this entire song. And holy shit, that melody will get stuck in your head, and it's still stuck in my head. But the song just has a really cool, like, melodic feel, but again, it's so damn caustic. It's just so in your face the entire time, and I don't know, like, I think that finding that sort of balance, we're actually putting in a really catchy melody inside of a maelstrom of just insanity, and then couple that with the really odd throat singing and then weird interplay that comes along with the guitars. Like, there's some solos on there that I swear the inspiration was like the sound of a belt going bad in a car and someone driving by and it's just making squealing noises. Like, yeah, that sounds cool. It's like, does it? But honestly, on here, it works because, again, the whole atmosphere and vibe of this is just fucking nuts. Like, you really fucking feel this album after a while. And I have to say, it's a mix of musicality and atmosphere that really kind of, like, drives this album home. The interesting little droning bass outros on Noblesse and Until It Is Not both kind of contribute, like, again, to that weird atmosphere. And then, you know, of course, I gotta go back to New Ages or New Ages because that song is just fucking weird, and now the video is stuck in my head. That's not welcome. But the descending notes are almost kind of playful on there, and it kind of sounds like, you know, some doofy cartoon character that stumbled over a rock on his way into the gates of hell. Yeah, my comparisons are fucking weird, but this album is fucking weird, but it's really good. Like, I was latched onto this pretty much from the start, and the dynamics, the transitions, the twisted atmosphere, it definitely feels like a black metal album, but there's something that is so twisted about it. Like, it feels like an insane person's brain, like, not like, you know, evil, let's worship Satan, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I listen to the voices in my head, and they're telling me to pick up this hatchet, and where are you going? It's that. It's just pure insanity, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but I don't know, for some odd reason, this really spoke to me. And again, this is my first exposure to the band, so I don't know if they were maybe a little bit calmer on the earlier albums, because I haven't listened to them, or maybe, you know, this is their most subdued and most accessible album. I don't know. Either way, I think if any of the other albums sound remotely like this, I will definitely check them out. So overall, I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. Holy shit. This is a fucking twisted album. Sometimes the atmosphere can be a little bit much. There's an interlude on there that kind of took me out of it for a second. And again, New Ages, or New Ages, however the hell you say that, is a very strange, twisted song. But I found myself really into it, and then kind of taken out of it by other sort of weird bits. I don't know, like, this has a very unique feel to it. At least as far as, like, you know, most of the black metal I've jammed here lately, a lot of it has been kind of more fusions and such, but this is really fucking twisted. And honestly, I think I picked the perfect day to review it. Went outside, the sun is pretty much fucked off behind a layer of gray clouds. Everything is gray, it is cold, and that is this album. This is raw and ugly, and all of this music probably came from a dark, dark fucking place in the band's psyche, and way to channel that into some really awesome fucking songs. I definitely recommend checking this out if you like really just twisted, dissonant, ugly music in general, not just black metal. Like, I think this could appeal to anyone that just likes dark, twisted music in general. Excellent production, very unique melodies on here, at least as far as I've heard. This is so far the best black metal I've listened to this year. Granted, I haven't listened to much black metal this year because not too much has come out because we're still really early on, but regardless, this is fucking fantastic, and I strongly recommend checking this one out. So, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, there will be a link down below. And as for the shirts, well, I believe they should be here by hopefully the end of this month, if not early next month. We're going to do a video, of course, showing them off, and of course a giveaway with that, because we are at the precipice of 10,000 subs, which is just absolutely insane. Thank you all so damn much. You guys, man, you guys fucking rule. That's pretty much that simple. And yeah, I'm going to get weird and thank you all profusely. I'm going to thank the fuck out of you, because you guys are what keep us going. We love all the comments. We love doing this, and you guys make it so fucking worthwhile. So once again, thank you from the bottom of our blackened hearts. And with that, we will catch you later.